Welcome. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church. We consider it a beacon of tolerance and love and passion, and today it's a celebration and a sadness, and I don't need to tell anybody here that. I'm going to start with chalice words from Reverend Christine Robinson, who says, "In our time of grief, we light a flame of sharing, the flame of ongoing life. In this time when we search for understanding in serenity in the face of loss, we light this sign as a quest for truth and meaning and community, which we will find here today, I'm sure." Danny's fabulousness just kind of attacked. There's an experience bigger than words. It is the death of a loved one, a friend, a family member, particularly someone taken in the prime of their life, particularly someone filled with so much life. And although words are never enough, to them we will largely turn today. And the words and a number of images and song we will hear today will be a scrapbook of stories about Danny. And today, all of us in our own little ways will tread some of the steps for how we all, with whether our big or small relationship with Danny, will move forward in our lives. We have all assigned the next hour, 2 hours of our lives to honor Danny Snodgrass, both because his life deserved it and because we miss him. But as sad as it is to say goodbye, honoring a young man who lived so fully should not be that hard. That's the good news. There won't be a struggle for words or memories, as sometimes there is. Today we dedicate to the young man who displayed such a rare joie de vivre, who touched us with his intelligence and his brashness and his sensitive touch. So the man who in the early part of adulthood was such a joy to his family and friends, all of you, me too at the end, is now gone, at least in the physical form. And with no other options to bring him back, we pay tribute and celebrate his life. In this church particularly really should be any religious institution. We know that whether you're a Buddhist or a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, an atheist or agnostic, we all know that life outgrows these separate selves that we come to know. And in just a short time ago, this life, this biological life at least, outgrew our Danny. Today there's a number of spaces for those closest to Danny that have been created in the orders of service you see. There will be at the end a time for people to come forward and just share a brief memory and light a candle. We'll have that open time there too, about what Danny meant to you. We know you're here to love and respect him, and that leads to words, but it also can be respected by and represented by silence. We don't shirk the grieving, the seriousness, the stories, the pausing in our tracks, the laughter in this moment. We take it all on with gratitude. We acknowledge with awe and humility that we have reached the bookend of a life well lived, fully lived in this physical form. So we gather here this afternoon to revisit with our sorrow for sure, to remember ourselves back together around this pivot point of Danny, maybe to remember your youth, forge those connections back together again as he would wish. So a piece of us will be left here today as we move forward, and a piece of us will never forget. So Danny, we gather here for you and with you. Let's begin with a song that Elton John wrote unknowingly for Danny. You can sing along if you like.
Daniel is traveling tonight on a plane. I can see the red taillights heading for Spain. Oh, and I can see Daniel waving goodbye. God, it looks like Daniel must be the clouds in my eyes. They say Spain is pretty, though I've never been. Well, Daniel says it's the best place that he has ever seen. Oh, and he should know he's been there enough. Lord, I miss Daniel. Oh, I miss him so much. Oh, Daniel, my brother, you are older than me. Do you still feel the pain of the scars that won't heal? Your eyes have died. You see more than I. Daniel, you're a star in the face of the sky. Oh, Daniel, my brother, you are older than me. Do you still feel the pain of the scars that won't heal? Your eyes have died. You see more than I. Daniel, you're a star in the face of the sky. Oh God, it looks like Daniel must be the clouds in my eyes.
Before we begin hearing from some of Danny's closest friends and family, let's take a minute to pray. Pray we think deeply about the guy who you might have spun music together with, who lived with adventure, who was in constant service to others, who thought deeply. The boy who loved easily and fully lived life. We pray for us and for the man who created friends and confidants at every turn. For all those things and 1,000 more, we offer up the deepest parts of our heart we can draw upon, and the joy that comes from those memories and remembrance of you, Danny. Dear God, in this place where so many prayers have been born and come to life, we ask the Great Spirit, the unnamed oneness, to be with us and with you, wherever you are on your journey. I invite up Danica to come up and begin her reading, and Sean to come up and just grab a seat too while we're here together. Danica's going to speak first, and then Sean is going to speak, and then he's going to sing for us. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for being here. I know some of you traveled far and wide to be here. Others rearranged your schedules. I know a whole bunch of you are watching via live stream from all over the world. Thank you for being here. I can't tell you how much it means to my family and especially Danny. He would love to know that all these people have gathered for him. He thrived on building community and bringing people together, and he'd be so happy to be here right now. Not exactly sure how I'm going to make it through these next few minutes, but I'll do my best. I honestly don't even know where to start. How do I possibly convey everything that I want to say about Danny? The most dynamic and energetic, hilarious person on this planet. In a 5-minute speech at his funeral. I didn't think I'd have to do something like this until we were old and we'd traveled the world together and we'd shared so many more memories. Even though I was with Danny for the last few months of his life, I witnessed his steady decline and held him as he took his last breath. I'm still in total shock that he's gone. It feels somehow unfathomable, like this is all just a horrible nightmare. Like I'll see him in a few weeks and he'll share crazy, hilarious stories with me over beers, like he always did after his travels. But then reality snaps me back to the realization that he really is gone, and I have to figure out how to live with that. I know we all do. I feel very angry and bitter. I find myself so often saying, this is so unfair. Why him? Why now? Unfair to me, unfair to everyone who loved him, but especially unfair to Danny. I don't know a single person more full of life. I feel very angry about it, and I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to let myself feel everything right now. But I've been trying to stop and think, what would Danny do? How would he feel about this? And how can I channel and honor him right now? And through doing that, I found some gratitude. Gratitude for the time I got to spend with him on this planet. Gratitude for having the honor of being his sister. Gratitude for getting to learn and grow and laugh with him for our 35 years together. Since Danny passed, I promised myself I would try to honor him every day in every way that I can. His last few months on this planet, he was so full of gratitude. Through all the pain and the suffering, his heart was so full of gratitude. It almost seemed like the closer he got to death, the more grateful he became. He had so much gratitude for me, our mom, our dad, our brother Sean, and his best friends Kelly and Drew, who stuck by him every moment of every day for his last few months. He had a lot of gratitude for his amazing friends, the life he had built, everyone who came to see him and take care of him his last few weeks. He was grateful for the life he had built and everything he was able to accomplish before the cancer took its hold. Danny seemed to live many lives, all of them as fabulous as the next. I still don't fully understand how or why he was so grateful, but it was something we all noticed and talked about constantly. He really transformed as a person. And I think at the end, he found peace with his fate. He left this planet with such graciousness. I am so proud of him for that. I feel like it's now up to me and everyone who loved him to continue on where he left off, and to remember the imprints he had on all of our lives. I'm not going to stand here and sugarcoat anything. What happened to Danny these last 2 years of his life since his diagnosis, and especially the last few months, is so fucked up. Nobody deserves the suffering he endured, psychological, the physical, the emotional, and the mental. It was torture for him. He lost the ability to walk, and at the end, move. And we all know Danny. He couldn't stop moving. It breaks my heart over and over thinking about what he went through. But I try to find silver linings, even in like the darkest moments. And if there's anything that I can call a silver lining here, it's that despite all of his suffering, he left this planet with so much love in his heart. It's almost unbelievable. It's helped to force me to look inward, and I promised myself and Danny I would try to love like him every day. I would do something every day in his honor. I hope that small gesture helps to keep Danny alive. At least it will in my heart. He'll always be with me. And for everyone who had the absolute life-changing pleasure of knowing Danny, I hope you'll find your own ways of keeping him alive. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And in the wake of this terrible tragedy, there's such a strange mixture of feelings, right? There's shock at this loss and sadness and sorrow at the unfairness of this and the desire for all this unfulfilled experience that is just left hanging. There's great gratitude, there's anger, and with this sorrow and this grief, there's also a certain sense of relief because Danny was suffering so much at the end. So this is an opportunity, this is the time to really allow ourselves to feel all of this. It's so important to feel all of this because that's really the only way through. So in this container for us to come together and grieve together and celebrate together, it's so important to give yourself permission to feel all of the feels and all of the feelings. And this is particularly strange for me because Danny's my brother. He's my little brother. The list of things that you never thought you'd do with your little brother, including standing up here right now, is just kind of unfathomable. And I've also got a very interesting relationship with death because it's part of my calling in this world to help people with this transition. And so it's a very strange irony that my initiation into this is my own brother. And death is a very powerful teacher because it reminds us to fully enjoy and embrace life in each moment. And I think in this time of tragedy, that's the greatest lesson that we can take, is that grief and gratitude are really two sides of the same coin. And the more gratitude we had for Danny and everything that he brought to this world means that the deeper there's that space for that grief to carve us out and even more gratitude to fill us. So it's such a strange feeling. It's such a strange sensation to be here. And in this journey of the last several months, I've really had the blessing and honor of getting to spend deeper time with my family and with Danny. In his last weeks, I was not able to be there in person, but really got to experience a deepening spiritual connection with Danny as he began to flicker into the other side. And I was able to keep, through prayers, through candles, through songs, this beacon with him and for him as he transitioned. And I can say that as far as dying goes, Danny did it right. His spirit waited. It's actually been 1 month now. So yesterday on the full moon, it was the full moon before. He waited for the largest eclipse in 600 years. He waited for the birthday of our grandmother. He chose and knew the right time to leave. And I can say with my experience with him that his soul was at peace as he left. That he was able to witness the perfection of all of this somehow in this crazy, fucked up, weird way from the other side. And that Danny, the timeless part of Danny's spirit, is never going to stop dancing. And the sheer energy and exuberance that Danny brought into this world has created such massive waves that the ripples are not going to stop rippling. And so the invitation is how we can help keep the spirit of Danny present and alive. So this is an invitation to remember Danny, to light candles, to play songs that remind you of him. The way spirits are fed is through awareness, is through attention, is through consciousness. And so the more that we're able to bring our awareness to Danny in all of his glory, where he is dancing with us in spirit right now, that's the greatest we can honor him. And so, in the face of all these feelings and all these things that arise, I'm so grateful to all of you to have shown up. I'm so grateful to Danny to have come into this world and to have found such an incredible sense of gratitude as he left. Well, I'll share one last thing, in that the night that he died, the night of the eclipse, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was there, and friends and family were gathered, and I was with Danny, and I had my arm around him. And he asked for water. He said, water. And so someone brought some water, and I gave it to him. And in that moment, everything turned into this radiant golden glow, and Danny got the most beautiful smile on his face. And he said, this is the greatest moment of my life. And I found out a week later that his last word was actually water, and that this moment did happen. So in that, I trust this mysterious connection beyond time and space, where Danny's spirit is still dancing, and where we can remember him every time that we dance, every time that we take a sip of water, every time we take a breath of fresh air. It's an opportunity to remember our own joy for life and how Danny really brought such a powerful reminder to all of us of this joy, of this exuberance. So thank you all again for coming today. I'd like to share one song, and this is actually a Buddhist mantra that I sang with Danny while he was still alive and through his time of passing. I've been reading his rites from the Book of the Dead and really invoking that pillar of light, and this mantra has been a big current helping carry his spirit along. So it means basically whenever one realizes the rise and fall of the five aggregates, which are our body, our mind, our thoughts, our self-awareness, right? When one realizes the rise and fall of these, then great joy and happiness arises, and this is known as the state of deathlessness.
Thank you, Sean. We're going to now hear from Danny's dad, Todd, and then following that, Kelly.
Thank you all for coming. Danny left us way too early, yet he squeezed a lot of life into the time he was here. He attended Long Beach City and then got accepted to UC Santa Cruz. Danny was an eclectic soul. He was bursting with energy. He had a lot of wide-ranging interests. He traveled extensively, both domestically and overseas. He attended Burning Man many times, often with his brother. Danny was an innovator, an entrepreneur, and a wonderful son. He had a lot of different accomplishments, some of them pretty early in life. While he was still going to Long Beach City, he got into raw food, went to work for a firm in Santa Monica called Revolution, ran the kitchen. The problem was that no one in the kitchen spoke English and he didn't speak Spanish. That created quite a challenge. So over the course of the year plus he was there, he taught them some English and they taught him a lot of Spanish. And by the time he left there, they had written a book and he was featured prominently in that book. But his best accomplishment, he told me, was that by the time he was done with Revolution, he had learned how to speak Mexican. Pretty good accomplishment for a kid that hadn't turned 21 yet, I guess. After he was at Santa Cruz for a year, he was reading an ad in Craigslist. And in there was a high-tech startup, a gentleman named Caleb, who had just sold a firm to Hewlett for a lot of money, was doing another startup called Blue Box. And this Blue Box company needed an operations manager. And Danny wrote to them and said, "I'll help you find that person." I don't think Danny was looking for any money out of the deal. He was just wanted to help. That was his nature. A lot of help for a lot of people. So Caleb brought him in, and he went over all these different names, and after they had gone through a dozen names, they hired Danny. Go figure. He was into cryptocurrency mining, honeybee cultivation. He was a chef who cumulatively cooked meals for thousands of people. He was a DJ, I'm told, that cumulatively DJ'd to tens of thousands of people. Some of the biggest DJ deals that ever occurred, apparently, in San Francisco, guess who was the DJ? Danny was a force of nature. He was a fighter. Sean reminded me the other day that Danny came into this world, if you take a picture of him when he was born, he had his fist clenched. This kid was ready to rock. So, he was a happy warrior. He fought right up until the end. He didn't give up for a day, not for a minute, and not for a second towards the end. He held out hope. He had a team of people put together, PhD, a doctor, a huge crew that was on the phone with all the time. And it wasn't just for him. He was trying to find a cure for melanoma for the world. That's the kind of person we're dealing with. That's the kind of heart he had. That's the kind of person he was. So when it looked like Danny was getting ready to go and then he went, I sent off notices to a lot of family members and to friends. Some of these wonderful people sent back some really neat stuff, some quotes and ideas. I'll read you a few. The light that burns twice as bright only lasts half as long. Danny's light burned very, brightly while he was here. Life is sometimes precarious, but always precious. Here's one from Danica. A bright, shining light of generosity and bedazzling intrigue. Beautiful words, Danica, beautiful. My brother Darren, who's here along with my brother Lindsay, Darren wrote, beautiful person. He was a rocket man. True. Aim for the moon. Even if you overshoot, you'll eventually land in the stars. Danny's finally at peace. No more pain. No more suffering. He's up there among the stars. So in closing, I'd like to leave you with this from The Wizard of Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. And the dreams you dare to dream, those dreams come true. Someday, I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away from the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. I love you, son. I'm looking forward to being with you soon when I come to the other side. Thank you all for listening.
Hi, everyone. It is so good to see so many of you here. I met Danny and Danica at the same time, and I fell in love hard. This vibrant, beautiful, queer sibling duo forever changed my life. And we all quickly found a craftsman in Long Beach and became roommates. Danny has been my best friend and my love since we met 17 years ago. As roommates, we spent years giggling in bed, going out to clubs, traveling to new places, making delicious food, laughing with friends, and creating memories. When we moved to different cities, we would send each other obnoxiously long text messages filled with life updates, hilarious stories, outrageous ideas, and as Danny would say, tanker truckloads of love. Danny and I are an odd pair. I move slowly, and he moves rapid pace from room to room. I like small gatherings, and he prefers elaborate events with massive amounts of people. We had many jokes about the big lesbian and the tiny gay boy. But God, did we love each other so deeply. A long time ago, Danny and I promised to be each other's greatest allies, and we never wavered. Even when we didn't see eye to eye, we always supported each other with love and encouragement. As some of you know, always supporting Danny's ideas can be tricky. But I accepted this challenge, and I perfected how to be his biggest ally. I was his defender, his admirer, and always was able to still share my opinion. We called on each other during times of excitement, uncertainty, inspiration, fear, heartache, and happiness. I feel like I've gone through my entire adulthood with him by my side. He was forever my champion, and I was his, and I feel like we shared a friendship that was unbreakable. I don't need to tell anyone in this room that Danny was the brightest light I'd ever seen. He had the ability to captivate an entire room full of people and also make you singly feel like you were the most important person there. All while making food, controlling the music, dancing, and displaying 8 different outfits. He was truly magical and an amazing octopus. He spent the last 2 years not only working to find a cure for his own disease, but he wholeheartedly wanted to share his knowledge and help others who were suffering. He would constantly look up from his computer and tell me, ooh, this is a game changer. Write this down for my book. He was finding a cure. He was a teacher, a writer, a creator, and a healer at heart. He would literally take a stranger off the street, offer them his bed, make them a delicious meal, and introduce them to 100 new friends all in one night. He was always giving, always planning, always creating, and always celebrating. How many times have you entered into a room to Danny doing this? I am forever a better person for knowing him, and I am forever grateful for the moments in life we were able to share. To the Snodgrass family, thank you for allowing me to stay at the house and be a part of the end of his journey and a member of his dream team. Holding his hand, making meals, and helping care for him until the end allowed me to give him the most precious gift of friendship possible. And he left this world feeling deeply loved. To you all, you are Danny's light keepers. Please continue to say his name and tell his fabulous and often outrageous stories. Play your music a little bit too loud. Turn absolute strangers into friends. Change your outfit multiple times. Show a little bit of skin. And dance with all of your heart. And to Danny, hi, love. You are the most amazing human ever, and I miss you so much. I promise to live life in your honor. I promise to travel the world, to look for the good in people, to not stand in the corner at the party, to order extra appetizers, and I even promise to dance. I'm so proud of you. You fought hard, love. You will always be the strongest and most fabulous queen I know.
And now, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know it. It's been coming for some time. When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day. I know it. Shining down like water. I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? Yesterday and days before, sun is cold and rain is warm. I know it. Been that way for all my time. Till forever long ago, through the circle, fast and slow. I know it. It can't stop, I wonder. I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? Coming down on a sunny day.
Dan Bunker, everybody. Thank you. Is Brett here? And he is.
Hello, my name is Brett Mendenhall. I am a longtime friend of Danny and his sister Danica, and a longtime admirer of the Snodgrass family. It's funny, as I tried to reflect on how long I've known Danny, I couldn't exactly pinpoint it. As you know, Danny loved to embellish things, whether a story, an outfit, a meal, or a DJ set. It seemed like whenever we explained our friendship, no matter when it was, we always indicated we knew each other for about 15 to 20 years. I'm quite sure Danny and I did not meet when I was 15, but it has truly felt like I've known Danny my entire life, so I will stick with that. Our friendship did begin when Danny was living in Long Beach and I was attending USC, so it feels comforting on many levels to be back here in Los Angeles among so many friends. Danny was one of those friends who would talk about growing old with you together. And he got specific, talking about what we would be wearing, what we'd be gabbing to each other about, and what we'd be wearing well into our 80s and beyond. Fabulous, of course. In our rocking chairs on some porch way out in the countryside. He created a vision of a lifetime of friendship, and you knew he meant it. Danny was a best friend. Danny was the best friend that I expected to have for the rest of my life, and I'm heartbroken that I will no longer have that. Over the past 8 years, with our dear friend Elliot, who is here today, Danny and I worked on a project called Electrolux. At its core, Electrolux is an experience that blends dance music with interactive art to create a version of nightlife that we all wanted, a space where people could truly connect with each other. But it became so much more than that. It became a community. It became a creative platform for musicians, dancers, and artists of all mediums. It became essential to my being, and Danny was instrumental in bringing Electrolux to life for so many people. Danny was a yes man, or a yes ma'am, in every sense of the word. No idea was too crazy. Danny always wanted all the elements, all the art, all the people, all the DJs, all the fun. And he always put in the work to make that happen. Electrolux would not be what it is today without Danny, and his energy and creativity and wild outfits will live on with us and our community for the rest of our days. Danny's ability to bring people together was truly legendary. As many of you know, his email address was unitehumanity@gmail.com. And I'm quite sure I don't know a more fitting email address or a more fitting description for a human on this earth. Danny's entire existence was around uniting humanity. It did not matter who you were. Danny would always give you a chance. Danny wanted you there. For those lucky enough to experience Danny's birthday brunches in San Francisco, those were the epitome of Danny. Literally a 24-hour experience that brought together so many humans across all avenues of life with mountains of decadent vegetarian food. All were welcome, all were fed, all were loved. And no matter where you interacted with Danny, whether it was at brunch or on a dance floor or in the dusty playa, Danny was present to have a meaningful moment with you. He asked questions, he looked you in the eyes, he made you feel loved always. Finally, I want to share a moment with you that tied together my experiences with death this year. Back in early June, I lost my father, Mike, after a long battle with a variety of health issues. On May 31st, Memorial Day, I rushed home to Seattle to be with my dad as his health suddenly took a turn, and we knew he might not have much time left. The night, an angelic registered nurse by the name of Yuri walked me through the end-of-life process on a physical, spiritual, and emotional level. She reminded me that even though my dad may not be able to express himself verbally anymore, is he able to hear and to understand. She encouraged me to say anything I'd always wanted to say to him, to share loving memories, to thank him. I carried this experience forward to my final days with Danny leading up to his passing in November. When I first entered the Snodgrass family dining room that Sunday, Danny perked up at the table, smiled, and said, "Brett Mendenhall," his typical full name greeting for me and many others, just a small thing that made you just feel so loved and appreciated at all times. During that week, I told him everything I wanted to, how much I loved him, how he was instrumental in so many of my friendships and experiences in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and beyond. And I want to thank Reverend Steve for helping create a space for us all to celebrate Danny that Monday night in his bedroom. It's a moment that will impact me for the rest of my life. And I also want to thank Kelly, Danica, Birgit, and Drew for welcoming me to your home that week. It was incredibly powerful, and I will always be thankful for that. I would encourage all, all of you to never miss out on spending meaningful time with those you love most. You never know that when that person will be taken from you and from this earth. Indulge in every moment with them. I know that Danny and I, when we were together, we indeed lived life to its very fullest, and for that I will always be grateful. I will continue to live my life in the path of Danny, uniting humanity, loving honestly and openly. Thank you all for being here and continuing to celebrate Danny in your own ways. He lives on in all of us.
Fabulous Drew in the house here. You weren't tall enough?
No. I decided to wing it. I have scribbles on this piece of paper. It was probably just a matter of me wanting to avoid this moment, I think. But we're here, and Danny was my best friend, and we didn't make a lot of sense because Danny was vibrant and optimistic and kind and sparkly, and I'm none of those things. But I feel like I keep saying that I feel like I lost my youth, and what I think I mean is like I lost the person who reminded me to not take things so seriously. And so many nights of just, and by nights I mean like so many sunrises of like, just conversations that led to deeper understandings between the two of us. And that's how he became my best friend. Everybody has stories about how fabulous Danny is, and I'll probably be telling mine for the rest of my life, but I want to talk for a second about how I spent the last 7 weeks of Danny's life with the Snodgrass family. And I'd like to talk about how brave and strong Danny was for that time. We signed him up for hospice care, and they told us not to move him because we risked hurting him and ourselves by doing so. But typical of anybody in an authority sort of like position, Danny and we decided to say fuck that, and we included Danny in everything. And I guess I made it my own little thing where I just wanted to keep him trying to like move around and stuff. And he lost movement on the left side of his body first, and they told us to do all these things about like using the restroom and stuff, but like I would walk I'd just hold him and I'd walk with him to the bathroom, and he was always so up for the challenge, and he was just so strong, you guys, like so strong and so brave. I don't really know where I'm going with this speech, but I would like to talk to you guys, to the Snodgrass family, and which includes Kelly. It was such an honor to spend those last 7 weeks with you, because we provided Danny with, Danny loved his shit, right? But like his shit also included like his comforts. And I've talked to you guys about this, but like if he was to wake up in a hospital any night, you know it would have been so scary for him, right? And there were a lot of nights, but he never woke up scared. I mean, he might have woke up like a little freaked out about something going on, but it was never like fear about who was taking care of him and who would walk into the room. You guys provided him with love and dignity. And I just hope that you guys know that, how important that is and was to him. I love you, all of you, so much, so much, and it was an honor to spend that time with you. I love you. That's like, and that to me is like the definition of what love is, right? It's like, we all say we love each other, but what you guys did for him towards the end that's love. And I love you guys very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Joey and Ryan, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joey.
I'm Ryan.
Thank you to Danny's family and all his caretakers so much, and for inviting us to speak today.
I first saw Danny over 11 years ago in my neighborhood at a grocery in San Francisco.
We were Gabers.
He and his boyfriend at the time, Dan Tracer, were wearing pajamas, slippers, and buying champagne on a Sunday morning in front of us in line, and I was like, I have got to know these people.
As fate would have it, our mutual friend, John Mitchell, at another mutual friend, Lulu's house, introduced us within weeks, and we've been friends ever since. Using some of Danny's own words, Danny was our nearest and dearest, as he was for so many of you. And although he was only with us, as he would say, for a finouge,
To us, he was the brightest shining light and turned that light into unimaginable, impossible extremes of bliss and joy. He taught me and taught us how to relish in our inhibitions and fearlessly love, smile, dance, and twirl into new dimensions of self-expression.
and he loved titties.
That's Danny.
Sorry, I had to say that.
That's Danny.
He also immensely loved and was endlessly loved by his twinsy sister, Danica, and all of you. As was mentioned, a published raw chef, Danny was the brunch extravaganza hostess with the mostest, the booty shaker who loved the manties off of you.
But maybe who he was can best be described in Danny's own words. He liked to send long text messages, as you all know, and this is one we found. This is from February 25th, 2021, so this is kind of recent. I cannot begin to express to you how phenomenal life is. Things are quite literally the best they've ever been for me ever. I have built a temple where I dance, sing, cry, build, believe in myself, confront my doubt, surmount my can'ts, and am building the infrastructure of what I believe in and am dedicating my life to.
I am experiencing a galvanization of intention and a precision of focus that I have never witnessed in myself. It is absolutely transformative to have this space to unleash my hurricanes of creativity. I get to make mistakes freely and use them as practice shots, each time refining and improving. I get to be my own evolution in action, and I get to embody self-improvement every day.
I am finding such joy in the nectar of the solitude. I never thought I would yearn for solitude. I am getting to know myself on deeper levels and giving myself the opportunities to truly love myself. I have danced and cried out many emotions as I feel their layers slowly dissolve off of me.
The gratitude pouring out of my heart is difficult to encapsulate in words. I am orders of magnitude more grateful than I've ever been. I pray gratitude every day. I feel fucking incredible.
I am building a space. For the first time in my life, my atheism is softening, and I am becoming slowly acquainted with Goddess and the interdimensional light beings that surround us. I have found my life calling, and I feel it with every fiber of my being.
Far and away, this is what I want to be doing with my life, helping others who are at their most desperate place. My intention has become to live so that I may share this knowledge I have been amassing. I was put on this planet to help others, and I will do so in ways for now, I cannot even fathom.
Or maybe another way, I took a screenshot of an old Grindr profile of Danny's, and some of you probably know what Grindr is, and his name for his Grindr profile name is Dance Party, and he describes himself as friendly and fun-loving are grand understatements. I enjoy shoveling love at the world, except I use a snow shovel so I can get more love per heave. It's Danny. It's Danny in his own words. But this is the hardest part for me now because, Danny always said he had a serious case of FOMO, fear of missing out. And so now I think of all the nights that won't happen, the time we won't spend with each other again. He was at my 40th. He was at Joey's 40th. And I don't get to experience the joy of watching Danny gracefully grow into a beautiful older man.
And as was mentioned by others tonight, what I want to just share with everyone is an intention of, I had my best friend died in college, and she was also way too young. And I really closed up and bottled up my emotions, and it was really painful for a long time. And I learned from that the importance of crying and the importance of expressing your emotions and really letting those flow as they come. And was reminded of that, unfortunately, recently with the death of our dear dog, Emmylou, and now with Danny. So I encourage myself and all of you to really allow yourself to just feel those emotions as they come and let them flow.
Now let's turn to people who are much wiser than us. In August, we had several conversations with Danny, but one, he mentioned how much he enjoyed Ram Dass, who was a gay spiritual leader and a psychedelic warrior, and this is an adaptation of what Ram Dass said. Danny finished his work on earth and left the stage in a manner that leaves those of us behind with a cry of agony in our hearts. Now is the time to let our grief find expression. No false strength. Now is the time to sit quietly and speak to Danny and thank him for being with us for these years, knowing that we will grow in compassion and wisdom from this experience. In our hearts, we know that we will meet again and again and recognize the many ways in which we have known each other. Now Danny's soul is free, and the love that we can share with him is invulnerable to the winds of changing time and space.
And another excerpt from Judah Haleva, a Hebrew poet, a very beloved poet, who wrote this nearly 1,000 years ago. "'Tis a fearful thing to love what death has touched. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched."
Thank you.
I want to invite people down to share a candle of memory of their own. And, just light a candle, and, if anyone who hasn't been, isn't on the docket is welcome to come down and come on down. Grab a candle and.
The other day, I was cleaning my room, and Danny had stayed at my house many times, and I can't remember the last time he stayed at my house, but it was very recent, maybe like about the 2-year mark, 2 years ago. And as I was going through some stuff, I found things that belonged to him. And underneath all this stuff, there was a card that he left me. And I want to read you this card. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Here we go. 1 second. I took a photo of it. It says, "Good morning, beautiful. I wanted to say I love and adore you. My life is brighter and happier knowing that you are in it. I love you, Tracer, Danny." And when I read that, I thought to myself, my life has been blessed tremendously knowing Danny. He has changed me fundamentally. He has shown me unconditional love. He has created a space for me to be creative. Him and Brett Mendenhall have changed my life forever. And to be an artist and to have that space is a gift that you will never forget. The first time I met Danny was at his parents' house, and it was his first going away party. I don't know when that was, but I didn't know him. My friend said, "Hey, come DJ this party." So we set up the DJ gear in the backyard with this beautiful view. And here I am waiting for whose party it is. And who walks in? Surprise! And it was Danny. And that was the first day that I met Danny. And through Danny, I went to Long Beach and I met the family there. I met Brett Mendenhall. And I met everyone in this room. And I want to say thank you, Danny. And thank you to the Snodgrass family. I'm forever grateful knowing Danny. And I just want to say thank you.
I'm Zach. Do I do the candle first? Whenever I want.
You do you.
Okay. I'm one of Danny's friends, and I met him about 13 years ago when I moved to the West Coast. And despite never living in the same city, he was. I mean, we tossed the words "chosen family" around a lot, but he was family, you know. Danica, I love you so much, and you guys did a great job. Whatever you did to Danny, I wish my parents had done it to me. But he taught me how to love, you know. He taught me how to love unconditionally. I don't have any embarrassing stories with Danny because I never felt embarrassed around him. He embraced me so fully. And one of the people he took to the Danny took me to Burning Man. I couldn't afford it. He just wanted me there. And that's Danny, you know. And I have all these stories. None are appropriate for a church. But he, I remember this especially at Burning Man. He taught me like the campsite rule: leave it better than you found it. And that's what Danny did. He left everything better than he found it, myself included. And I really look forward to living the rest of my life with Danny in mind. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't go there.
But all right. There's a lot of people who feel like the things said at this church on a regular basis are not appropriate for a church, so it's quite all right. I want to light my own little candle for Danny. I didn't know him very well or very long, but, you know, it was a meaningful experience to be there at the end for me, too, with visiting them, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times, and, you know, just full of heart, whole family, searching, full of gratitude at the same time. It was just a beautiful experience, and, you know, I don't know. Deepened me. Sean, the whole bunch, the way you loved on him at the end was pretty sweet. I light one final candle that I think is one word that represents Danny very well. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just going to add shy.
It's been a while since I've performed poetry, but in
A little bit closer to your mouth.
Pride 2016, I had fallen in love with Danny and shared with him a poem that I thought might convince him to fall in love with me. And we were spinning ever deeper into that beautiful pink cloud. This I wrote about him and gave him that night at a sunrise with the entire Electrolux crew. Cat-loving, cuddle-king Californicator, fabulous, fun-seeking fairy, a laughter liaison, a humorous humanist, the hostess with the mostest, provides hearth, a haven of humility for friends who have become family. Costume connoisseur, party provider, the queen with the biggest heart, widest smile, and loudest laugh. A presence of lively energy and healing love, chef, maker of music, a lover to dance with, all graced with his friendship, hold him dear and close to heart. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I knew Danny when we were in
Yeah,
high
pull it
school
down.
together. Oh, thanks.
Fine,
So I just wanted to say a couple things because it's so beautiful and it's been such an honor to meet so many of you guys in his adult life. I just wanted to say something from his childhood because it was very unique. We both grew up here and we became best friends in high school. We were both tortured, and we both came out of it. And as you can see, Danny had this most beautiful life. And I think I'm just going to miss him because he's the only one that understood what we went through. And it was painful. It was definitely the most painful time of my life. And we were there for each other. And our parents became best friends, and we just had this unconditional love. And I'm thankful that I was able to be near him at the end. He told me once when I was in college that I could do anything. So he was like, why don't you just become a doctor? Because you can. And I was like, that's insane. But then I went on and I became a physical therapist. And he told me he would become the doctor, but he ended up not. But he did in his own way. I was so mad at him because I finished chemistry. And then I was like, how did you do in chemistry? And he was like, oh no, I dropped out. I'm like, should have told me, then I would have dropped out too. But it was really nice at the end because I got to share some of my gifts with him, which that was really meaningful. And he inspired me to look at death a different way, him and Sean. And he was just such a good friend. Yeah, And so thank you guys.
He went from DR to DJ. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Betty Haller, and I am a friend of Birgit's and the whole Snodgrass family. I've known them for a long time, and I have known Danny for a very long time. He was a good friend of my son's from kindergarten, and I can't say much more about Danny today other than attest that everything everyone has said about him is so true about Danny. And I never really got to know him as well till about 2 years ago when he was started dealing with the whole medical situation and needed some help in navigating through the medical system. And I tried to be there for him. And then the last few months, I really got to know him on such a deeper level. And I was a witness to so much love, so much caring from all his friends, all of you guys, his family, Danica, Kelly. They were with him 24/7, taking care of him physically and every other way. And he was always so graceful. I will never forget, I brought some food and he sat there and had a glass of wine and shared the food. And a few days later, I brought food and he wasn't even able to eat, but he said, "No, I want to eat Betty's." And I sat there and talked to him and gave him a hug. And he always looked good. I was so afraid to see him at the end, but he glowed. Stan used that word, a friend of his. I have to tell you, every time I saw Danny, he glowed. There was something very special about him. Love you, Danny. Glad I got to know you. You will always be amazing.
Thanks. I'd like you to join me in a responsive reading. It's in the bulletin here. You got the bold part. Going to be up on the screen too if you want to be lazy about it. When we meet people who are beaming with life, new ideas, and authenticity, when we watch those with a gleaming twinkle in their eye turn every encounter into a night to remember. When we look out over a moss-covered forest or out into a starry sky. When we hear a song that makes us want to clap our hands and cycle into our seventh outfit change. When we're late for a flight and also realize at the airport that we forgot our passport. When we gather together with those friends, family, and loved ones here today. We've gathered our fondest memories of our dearly departed Danny. Decide now what you forever want to remember about your brother, friend, son, nephew. Lift it up and hold it to the silence. Danny, we bid you blessings on your journey. We will hold you in our heart. We commit you to the next life. Lost to us in physical form here, we commit you back to the universe's care, back to a place free of suffering and pain. Deep peace of the running wave to you, Danny. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. To the place that all things go. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. You're about to see a video tribute and postlude to Danny, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that.
Turn it up a little bit. Turn it up a little more. There we go. Thank you, Kelly.
Kelly put that together, right? Thanks, Kelly, for that. And thank my Kelly back there for giving us these visuals the whole night, too. And Jan Bunker and family and all of you shared. So there's collation outside. That's the fancy word for there's food and beverages. And enjoy. Thanks for being here.